Hello and welcome back again. It's me again. Change of clothes, new day, new room. This is all getting recorded in my house, by the way. So I wanted to walk through some opinion leaders in this space because one of the most popular questions I used to ask in interviews to really test out how passionate and how interested people were in products management was what opinion leaders do you follow in this space? What books do you read? What blogs do you follow? What newsletters do you subscribe to? What podcasts do you listen to? Just get a feel of like people that have influenced their thoughts on products management and how curious they really are about it. And I think if you are really curious about it and passionate about it, you would know some of these kind of names. So I'm going to give you a bit of a cheat sheet now and tell you about each of these people and why you should follow them. So in the top left, we have Eric Ries, who popularized the lean startup movement with his book, The Lean Startup, a very popular book that I'm sure many of you have read already, which is all about the build, measure, learn loop, and getting those feedback loops, iterative feedback loops as you build products in a customer centric way. Not many people are as familiar with Steve Blank, who I see as the godfather of products management. And Steve Blank wrote a famous book called The 4 Steps to Epiphany. It's a bit of a dry read, to be honest, but what it does describe well is this customer development program and how you can basically beta test products with B2B clients and with companies, and how that differs from when you're doing a beta program with a B2C product, which is direct to consumers. And he speaks about how when you start a startup, you're on the search for a business model. So until you have product market fit, you're really trying to experiment what business model works. But actually, when you have an established company, then actually you're innovating on a working business model, which is why when you're in those early days, you may use like a lean canvas to really list out what your key risks and assumptions are. Whereas when it's more established, you may use Alex Osterwalder's business model canvas, which is more for established businesses. So that third person is Alex Osterwalder, and he's the author of Business Model Generation, and that's the book that really breaks down examples and teaches you how to use the business model canvas. Right underneath him is Ash Mora's book, which is Running Lean, which is very similar, but it's all about using the lean canvas. So it's really all about teasing out your riskiest assumptions when you have an initial idea or problem that you want to solve, so that you understand actually how you focus your testing in the early days on the highest risks or essentially the biggest priorities. Next to that, we have my good man and friend, Mark Abraham, who's the author of My Products Management Toolkit. Mark was actually my manager and my products coach when I was at World First. He's gone on to author this book. He's got a really, really great blog, markabraham.wordpress, I believe, .com. And he's currently a product manager at ASOS. And then right next to him is another legend in the game, a guy called Marty Kagan. He wrote a book called Inspired, and more recently brought out Inspired 2, which is very similar to Inspired 1, just an updated version with, I guess, his evolving thoughts, as your thoughts do evolve because this is a continuous learning journey. He also has a really popular blog called Silicon Valley Products Group, and I believe it's svpg.com. But don't worry, all of the links to all of these people and their sites will be given at the end of the course. So you don't have to take notes on that. You don't have to rely on your memory. Middle right, we have Melissa Perry, who has a really, really great blog on kind of, the build trap and product strategy, but she also runs a products course herself. I have not taken it, so I can't talk to its quality, of course, but Melissa Perry is another thought leader in the space. Then we have Teresa Torres. And she's really good actually on product discovery. So she's a product discovery coach, really helping companies with that initial stage of deciding what problem to solve and why, what the root causes are of those problems, and what problems do you prioritize working on in which ways. So she used these method of using like problem root trees for teasing out product discovery, and she has many videos on YouTube that you can check out. Underneath those two, we have 2 podcasts. One is This is Product Management, which has been running for years by Alpha HQ, the same company that published the 2019 Product Management Insights Report that we looked at the earlier course when we're looking at the different ways to enter into product management, or the different roles, as well as the responsibilities and what product management does. So that's the same people that did that, also hosts this podcast. Then we have the product experience, which is by Mind the Product Community. That's their logo there in between the headphones. Underneath, we have a guy called Ken Norton. He was formerly a product manager at Google. He's been in the game for about 15 years. Has a great video when he was speaking at Mind the Product conference a few years ago about 10x, not 10%. And it talks all about how, as a product manager, sometimes you prioritize things that are easy to implement and deliver some value. So you're always working on incremental value, but sometimes you need to take big swings and go for 10x rather than 10%, go for moonshots. And then next to him, we have two books, both by Joshua Seiden. The one on the right is also co-authored with Jeff Goffhelf, Lean UX, and Outcomes Over Outputs. And for anyone that's transitioning from a role such as a business analyst or project manager, Outcomes Over Outputs is a great book to read on how you shift your approach from working in waterfall and being more output focused on features you're delivering to more outcomes focus on more goals and results. So that's a great book to read to really change the mindset. Hope that was helpful. Cool. So last year I had the pleasure of speaking at Product Tank, which is a monthly event in 140 cities across the world for essentially around product management. A simple format where you would have 3 speakers on the night, and there's a certain theme to the night. So the one that I spoke about was on diversity and inclusion. 3 speakers, 10 minutes, followed by Q&A and networking before and after. Very simple format. It's a great place to meet other product managers as well as aspiring product managers, and often UXs in the room and other roles as well. I believe even if you just Google Product Tank, you'll see the meetup group. But again, at the end, I'll have all of the links in the slides. That picture over there is legendary, by the way, when I was in Machu Picchu. That's about 10 years ago. I need to find my way back there. And then this year, I have the honor of speaking at Mind the Product conference in London. So I'm going to be speaking, actually, like, you're probably the first to hear this, but I'm going to be speaking about mental models and how you can use mental models during product discovery to tease out and think and reframe how you think about problems. So that should be a good talk, hopefully. If you're going to be at Mind the conference, do say hello. It should be a good blast. It's going to be in October later this year, 2019. I want to leave you as well with just a quick exercise to do to really start kind of like testing your product management mindset and getting into the frame of a product manager. So I want you to think of a product that you love, you know, whether it's Instagram, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's Shazam, Google Maps. Think of a product that you love, like one that you really enjoy using, Citymapper, whatever it is. And think about, how did those products start out? Like, research and Google their origin story. Check on Reddit, check on Quora, find out what their origin story was. Like, how did these products start out? What was the problem? What problem does it solve today? And what problem did it solve initially, right? If we think of Amazon, for example, initially it was a bookstore, okay? But it's evolved into so many other verticals today. So what problems does it solve, you know? Then who are the target customers for these products? Often we feel like everyone's using every product, but actually there's often a target customer that these products are aimed at. You know, if you Google pitch decks or Airtable, you see a selection of different pitch decks, and you can see the answers for some of these questions for companies like Airbnb throughout their pitch deck, like who their actual target customers were initially. Then you ask yourself kind of like, what is the market? Like, what is the type of market they're really trying to penetrate or grow into? Who are the competitors? You know, what are the existing alternatives right now in the market, and how do they differentiate to that? What is the customer journey from discovery through to onboarding and first use? You know, that's the most important battleground actually with new products, is the discovery angle. Like, how easy is it to find, which is very difficult in places like the App Store now, right? And it's usually actually through word of mouth that a lot of the great products get discovered, such as WhatsApp, which did no paid advertising. And then secondly, what is the customer journey when it comes to onboarding and first use? Like, how did you feel when you were registering? How many steps were there? How many intentional hints were there? How many annoying things were there? Like, you had to go into your email, then come back into the app, you know, walk through that experience and answer these questions. And because these are great questions for like assessing opportunities. And this is an example, or tiny example, of something that a product manager would do with an existing or new product. Okay, I'm going to leave it at there for this class. The next one's going to touch on number 2, which is feeding your curiosity and joining communities. And I've already mentioned one community, right, with Mind the Product and Product Tank, but we'll be sharing a few more. Gracias.